Ladies and gentlemen, fight fans all around the world, let's talk some boxing. So, I've been hearing a lot of talk about Canelo facing Sergey Kovalev and that Kovalev's height and reach and that jab from that long distance is going to be a problem. How is Canelo going to get inside to really work Sergey Kovalev's body? I heard Cassie Duva talking about it, and a lot of other people argue this point. Sergey Kovalev has a great jab, and his height and his reach going to be a problem for Canelo because he uses the jab so well. So I got to thinking, let me do some homework on this. Let's really take a look at Sergey Kovalev for a second. So if you look at Sergey Kovalev, you'll see that his height, as is stated here, his height is 6 feet tall. And his reach, according to BoxRec, that is 72.5 inches. All right. Now, if we have a look at Canelo, all right. Let's look at Canelo. Canelo, according to BoxRec, that is, his height is 5 feet 8 inches, and his reach is 70.5 inches. That means Kovalev has 2-inch reach on him, and he has a 4-inch height advantage. Okay? It got me to thinking, has Canelo faced this before? Because everyone's talking about Sergey Kovalev's height and his reach and his size. And so I decided to have a look at that. And you'll be surprised at what you find when you start to do a little homework. So, Canelo's last opponent was Daniel Jacobs. Right? That's the last guy he faced. And Daniel Jacobs, his height is 5'11.5". In other words, Sergey Kovalev is just a ½ inch taller than Danny Jacobs. His reach is a 73-inch reach, which means he has ½ an inch longer than Sergey Kovalev. I got to thinking, I said to myself, let's look at some other stats, because they talk about Sergey Kovalev's power. If you look at Danny Jacobs' power here, his K percentage is 76.32%. He's got good power, right? I decided, let's look at Sergey Kovalev. Let's have a look at Sergey Kovalev's power. Guess what? Sergey Kovalev has a K ratio of 76.32%. In other words, Danny Jacobs and Sergey Kovalev, they're around about the same KO percentage. Here's another interesting thing. Sergey Kovalev has 38 bouts. And guess what? Danny Jacobs has 38 bouts. Isn't that interesting? In other words, Canelo has faced a guy that has dimensions like Sergey Kovalev, has the kind of punching power like Sergey Kovalev, and uses the jab like Sergey Kovalev quite well. In fact, he has a little extra edge to him. The Miracle Man can actually switch hit, something Sergey Kovalev does not do. Is more athletic and agile than Sergey Kovalev. You recall how that fight went with Canelo, do you? I'm just saying. But there's more. See, that wasn't the first person to face Canelo with either a height or reach advantage. Canelo has been consistently doing this over the course of his career. Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin, as you can see here, his height is 5'10.5", which means He has a 2.5-inch height advantage. His reach is 70 inches, which means he doesn't have a reach advantage. His KO percentage is 85.7%. In other words, Gennady Golovkin has more punching power than Sergey Kovalev and Danny Jacobs. And we all know the Kazakhstani has a great jab. A great jab. But yet Canelo not only hangs with him, he beats him. That's not all, folks. Let's keep it rolling. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Why this is even more interesting, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., is because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is an inside fighter. His height is 6'1". His reach is 73 inches. As like Danny Jacobs, he has a half-inch reach over Sergey Kovalev. KO percentage is 58.93. Not really super great. But what is Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. known for? His inside fighting. He uses his jab and long reach to control his opponent and then get to the inside. And Canelo beat him. In other words, Canelo not only can beat a guy who can outbox him, Danny Jacobs having inside game as well as Gennady Golovkin, who's a mid-range fighter, but he can also outbox a guy who is coming on the inside to infight him. Let's keep it moving. Erislandy Lara. Canelo faced Erislandy Lara at super welterweight. Erislandy Lara is 5'9", just an inch taller than Canelo, but his reach is ridiculous. A 75-inch reach advantage he has over Canelo. He's a southpaw. His punching power not that great over his career, but he does crack pretty well. Canelo beat him. What does that say, folks? Reach and height doesn't stop Canelo from beating the opponent. Not even power. Well, let's keep it moving. Austin Trout. Austin, no doubt, Trout. Canelo faced him. He was 5'9.5", which means he has an 1.5 inch height advantage. And his reach was 72 inches. He had an inch advantage reach over Canelo. Not a great knockout artist, but known for his great jab. Canelo beat him. You know, Canelo, if he were to face Demetrius Andrade, let me tell you this. If he were to face Demetrius Andrade, he would have been fighting against a guy 6'1", taller than Sergey Kovalev by 1 inch, and having a reach advantage of 73.5 inches, having the longest reach advantage except for Erislandy Lara, with a KO percentage of 60.71%, decent KO percentage. In other words, people are talking about Sergey Kovalev's reach and height and all that bajaba. Guess what? Demetrius Andrade has a taller, and he's longer than Sergey Kovalev. And guess what? He got inside game. He got all-around game. And he's a southpaw. A great jab. And yet you guys talk about Canelo having a greater challenge against Sergey Kovalev. No doubt Kovalev has a greater legacy than Demetrius Andrade at this point. But no, not a greater challenge at all. I stop right here to make this point. What the media and people tell you, you must check for yourself. The baloney and bullshit that they give you is not true. Size advantage? Canelo comes in fight night 180 pounds. There will be no size advantage. So, this is my last video concerning Canelo and Sergey Kovalev. I hope you guys have a good night. And don't believe all the shit you hear. Have a good one, guys.